Hi guys, this is Mike from Bitglass, and I wanted to tell you a story about a lot of people we encounter with mobility. Typically, when you have a mobile story and you're trying to adopt and enable mobility, there's a number of different types of things that occur. For one, there are devices. So let's say we have corporate devices that are iPads and tablets, and we want to protect them. So we're going to apply some sort of EMM or MDM, MAM type solution on top of this. That's great. I can enforce security here, lock down this device, control what it's doing. I can enforce things like PIN codes. I can enforce screen auto lock timeouts, all moving content outside of mailboxes, things like that. But then my organization becomes more progressive, and we see customers kind of move from this kind of lockdown approach into wanting to allow people to bring their own devices. So all of a sudden, we introduce the concept of BYOD. And we allow people to bring iPhones, we allow them to bring Android tablets, we allow them to bring really whatever they want, and we start trying to install this MDM on top of their device. What we find a lot of times, and what the customers find, is that when they try to roll out something like this, there's a lot of pushback. So if you think about a curve here about the entire user base, all users, a lot of times we see people try to adopt and stall out. And they can only get an adoption at a 25 to 30% rate many times with their user base. And that's because users just push back in general. They've seen what the different types of solutions can do to their devices at various jobs and have heard from friends, and they just don't want to install it. And so what you have is you have a problem with privacy, and you have a problem with the device being a personal device. And so what happens is what you tried to buy and what you tried to roll out for EMM is great for corporate, but it just doesn't work for BYOD, and you have a failure. And so what you were trying to do was enable usage of your corporate network. You were trying to have access to things like Office 365, things like Box, and all these different corporate applications on these BYOD devices. But when the users don't adopt it, what have you really gained from a productivity perspective? You wanted to enforce things like PIN codes. You want to enforce things like device encryption. You might want to do screen auto lock timeouts. And you definitely want some type of wipe capability. But if you can't deploy it to your users, again, what are you really gaining? And so a lot of times that's when we encounter a customer that eventually becomes a customer, I guess. And what they'll see is that adopting a next generation CASB allows them to roll out a rapid deployment, because it doesn't require this encumbrance of this really heavyweight MDM or EMM or whatever it might be on top of the device. And so you go from a point where you can't deploy anything to a rapid deployment with all users, being able to do all these things because the next generation CASB can offer them the solution in an agentless manner without any of the fuss of an EMM. So come talk to us a little bit more about Bitglass and why we're a next generation solution. Thank you.